The thing about betrayal is that it doesn't announce itself with trumpets and fanfare. It creeps in wearing a smile, shaking hands with your friends and complimenting your wife's costume at the annual company Halloween party. I'm Greg Harper, 39 years old, and I'm watching my life implode in real time while dressed as a vampire. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm the one who's about to destroy him. "Greg, honey, could you grab me another wine?" Alicia's voice cuts through the chatter of our company's Halloween bash. She's dressed as Catwoman, all curves and black leather, looking nothing like the woman who barely speaks to me at breakfast anymore. "Sure thing, sweetheart." The endearment tastes like ash in my mouth. As I navigate through the crowd of costumed coworkers, I catch fragments of conversation that make my skin crawl. Maya, from accounting, dressed as a witch, is whispering to someone about how Alicia puts up with him. Richard, my only real friend at Morrison Tech, catches my eye and shakes his head sympathetically. He's dressed as a court jester, which feels appropriate given how I'm being played for a fool. The party is in full swing at the Riverside Community Center. Our boss, Miss Townsend, spared no expense, probably because she's hoping to land that new government contract. She's dressed as a stern librarian, which isn't much of a stretch from her usual personality. I'm grabbing Alicia's wine when I hear the laugh that's been haunting my dreams. Deep, confident. The kind of laugh that says, "I'm taking what I want." Dominic Cruz stands near the dessert table, his Tarzan costume showing off the physique that my wife apparently finds irresistible. He's surrounded by admirers, mostly women, including Susie Tran, Alicia's best friend and fellow HR executive. "Greg," Dominic calls out, his voice booming across the room. "Come settle a debate for us. Who would win in a fight, Hulk or Superman?" The group turns to look at me. I see the smirks, the barely concealed amusement. They think I'm harmless, predictable Greg with his IT job and his sarcastic comments. "Well," I say, approaching the group with Alicia's wine in hand. "Superman's got the speed and flight advantage, but Hulk's strength is theoretically limitless. The angrier he gets, the stronger he becomes." Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. "See?" Dominic grins, flexing his biceps. "It's all about raw power. Sometimes you just have to take what you want." The way he looks at my wife when he says this makes my blood boil. Alicia giggles. Actually giggles, like some teenager with a crush. "I don't know," I continue, my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. "Superman's got that whole moral code thing. He doesn't take what isn't his." The temperature in our little circle drops about 10 degrees. Dominic's smile falters for just a second, but it's enough. He knows that I know. "Hypothetically speaking," Susie chimes in, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "What if Superman was, I don't know, neglecting his responsibilities? Maybe someone else deserves a chance to be the hero." I look at my wife. She's staring at the floor, her cheeks flushed. Not from embarrassment, from excitement. She's getting off on this public humiliation. You know what I think? I set down the wine glass harder than necessary. The sound echoes like a gunshot. I think some people mistake being loud for being strong. Real strength is quiet, patient. It waits for the right moment. "Sounds like Superman's a bit of a pushover," Dominic says, stepping closer. "He's got 6 in and probably 40 pounds on me, but I've been angry for months. Anger is a hell of a motivator." "Maybe," I reply, pulling off my wedding ring and placing it carefully on the dessert table. The simple gold band catches the light. But when he finally stops holding back, the whole world shakes. The laughter dies. The circle of people around us grows quiet. Even the music seems to fade into the background. Alicia stares at the ring like it's a live grenade. "Greg," she whispers. What are you doing? Just getting comfortable, I say, loosening my tie. You know how it is, honey. Sometimes the costume gets too tight. Dominic looks confused, like a dog that's been shown a card trick. He's used to intimidating people with his size and his loud voice, but he's never dealt with someone who's got nothing left to lose. Maybe we should all just calm down, Richard interjects, appearing at my elbow like the good friend he is. Oh, I'm perfectly calm, I assure him. In fact, I'm having a revelation. You know what they say about Halloween? It's the one night when people show their true faces. I look directly at Dominic. Tell me, Tarzan, what do you do when you're not swinging from vines? I mean, besides training housewives at the gym. His face reens. I help people achieve their fitness goals. Maybe you should try it sometime. Fitness goals? I repeat, tasting the words. Is that what we're calling it now? I thought you specialized in cardio, the kind you can't do at work. Susie gasps. Alicia goes pale. The people around us are starting to back away, sensing the shift in atmosphere. You got something to say to me, Greg? Dominic puffs out his chest like a gorilla. Actually, I do. I step closer, close enough to smell his cologne, the same scent I've been finding on my wife's gym clothes. I think you're a coward who hides behind muscles and motivational quotes. I think you take things that don't belong to you because you're too pathetic to earn anything on your own. That does it. He shoves me hard. I stumble backward, but I'm ready for it. I've been ready for months. As I fall, I grab the edge of the drinks table, pulling it down with me. Bottles crash, ice scatters, and punch spreads across the floor like blood. The room erupts in chaos. Ms. Townsend is shouting about professional conduct. Richard is helping me to my feet. Alicia is fussing over Dominic, who's standing there, dripping with punch and looking like the fool he is. Greg. My wife's voice is sharp with anger. What is wrong with you? I brush ice off my vampire cape and straighten my fake fangs. Wrong with me? Nothing at all, dear. I'm just tired of pretending. I walk over to the dessert table and pick up my wedding ring, holding it up to the light. You know what? I think I'll hang on to this for now until I figure out what it's really worth. The crowd parts as I walk toward the exit. Behind me, I can hear Alicia and Susie whispering frantically, probably trying to do damage control. Dominic is complaining loudly about his ruined costume. Richard catches up with me in the parking lot. Dude, that was either the most badass thing I've ever seen or the stupidest. Probably both, I admit, getting into my car. But I'm done being the joke, Rick. Tonight, the mask comes off. As I drive home through the rain-slick streets, I can't stop thinking about the look on Dominic's face when I called him a coward. He's used to being the alpha, the guy who takes what he wants without consequences. But every alpha has a weakness. I just need to find his. 3 days after the Halloween party, I'm sitting in my home office at 2 a.m. doing what I do best, digging through digital footprints. The house is quiet except for the hum of my computers and the occasional creak of settling wood. Alicia is asleep upstairs, probably dreaming about her muscle-bound trainer. The beauty of working in IT is that people underestimate you. They think you're just the guy who fixes their printers and resets their passwords. They don't realize that in the digital age, information is power, and I've got access to more information than most people know exists. Morrison Tech security system is decent, but I helped design it. I know every backdoor, every vulnerability, every way to access the cameras without leaving a trace. It's amazing what people do when they think no one is watching. I pull up the footage from 3 weeks ago, the night Alicia claims she was working late on the Henderson project. The timestamp shows 8:47 p.m., when she and Dominic enter the conference room on the 3rd floor. They're carrying files, playing their parts perfectly. At 8:52 p.m., the files are forgotten on the table. Dominic has my wife pressed against the window overlooking the city, her legs wrapped around his waist. The image is grainy, but there's no mistaking what I'm seeing. Cardio, I mutter, taking a screenshot. Right. My phone buzzes with a text from Richard. You okay, man? Haven't seen you since the party, I type back. Just working on a project. Big data analysis at 2 a.m. You're starting to worry me. The best insights come when everyone else is sleeping. It's true. In the quiet hours of the night, patterns emerge, like how Alicia's gym membership shows her checking in at 7 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday, but the security footage shows her leaving the building with Dominic at 8:30 p.m. Where do they go for that missing hour and a half? I cross-reference her credit card statements with location data from her phone, something I set up years ago for safety reasons that she forgot about. The answer makes me laugh, but it's the kind of laugh that has no humor in it. The Riverside Motel, room 237. Every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 3 months. I lean back in my chair, staring at the evidence scattered across my monitors. Photos, timestamps, financial records, GPS coordinates. It's all here. A digital autopsy of my marriage. But evidence isn't enough. I need leverage. I dig deeper into Dominic's background. His personal training business, Cruise Control Fitness, is registered as an LLC, but he's been operating without the proper licenses. The city requires health department certification for any fitness professional working with clients, and Dominic's expired 2 years ago. More interesting is his side business. He's been selling supplements through his Instagram account. Supplements that aren't FDA approved. The kind of gray market stuff that promises miraculous results but delivers mostly side effects and empty wallets. I screenshot everything, building a file that would make any prosecutor weep with joy. My phone buzzes again. This time it's not Richard. Can't sleep either. Unknown number, but I recognize the writing style. Susie, depends on what's keeping you awake, I reply. Guilt mostly. We need to talk. I'm listening. Not over text. Coffee tomorrow. The place on 5th Street. 10 a.m. I stare at the message for a long moment. Susie Tran has been Alicia's best friend since college, her partner in crime at work, and apparently her confidant in adultery. Why would she want to meet with me? See you there, I type. The next morning, I arrive at Grind Coffee 10 minutes early. It's a small place with exposed brick walls and the kind of aggressively hip atmosphere that charges $5 for a cup of coffee and calls it artisanal. I order a black coffee and claim a corner table where I can see the entrance. Susie walks in at exactly 10 o'clock, looking like she hasn't slept in days. Her usually perfect hair is pulled back in a messy ponytail, and there are dark circles under her eyes. She orders something complicated with oat milk and 3 shots of espresso. You look like hell, I tell her as she sits down. Thanks, you're a real charmer. She takes a sip of her drink and winces. We need to talk about Alicia. I'm all ears. She's making a mistake, Greg. A huge one. Dominic isn't who she thinks he is. I lean back in my chair. And who does she think he is? Someone who cares about her. Someone who sees her potential. Susie's laugh is bitter. God, even saying it out loud sounds stupid. But you know better. I know Dominic Cruz. I know his type. He's using her, Greg, for the connections, for the money, for the thrill of taking something that belongs to someone else. Something, I repeat. That's an interesting way to describe my wife. Susie has the grace to look ashamed. I didn't mean it like that. Sure you did. The question is, why are you telling me this? Last I checked, you and Alicia were thick as thieves. She stares into her coffee like it holds the answers to life's great mysteries, because I care about her more than she knows. And there it is, the piece I was missing. Susie isn't just Alicia's friend. She's in love with her. Has been for years, probably. The loyal best friend. Always there, always supportive, watching the woman she loves make one bad decision after another. How long? I ask. How long? What? How long have you been in love with my wife? Her face goes white, then red. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. College, right? That's when it started. You've been playing the long game ever since, waiting for your chance. You're wrong. Am I? Then explain why you're here, Susie. Explain why you're betraying your best friends to have coffee with her husband. She's quiet for a long moment, turning her cup in slow circles on the table. Because she deserves better than Dominic, and better than you. The honesty is refreshing, even if it stings. At least you're being honest now. I have something you need to see. She pulls out her phone, scrolls through her photos, and slides it across the table. The image on the screen makes my blood run cold. It's Alicia and Dominic, but not in some romantic embrace. They're in what looks like Miss Townsend's office, going through files on her desk. Alicia is photographing documents with her phone, while Dominic keeps watch at the door. When was this taken? Last Friday night, after the Henderson Project meeting. Susie takes her phone back. They're planning something, Greg. Something that involves getting you fired. What kind of something? I don't know all the details, but I heard them talking about performance reviews, about building a case for termination. Alicia thinks if you're gone, she'll get promoted to your position. I process this information, fitting it into the larger picture that's been forming in my mind. And where do you fit into all this? I don't. That's the problem. Her voice is barely above a whisper. She promised we'd run the department together once you were out of the picture. But now she's talking about bringing Dominic in as a consultant. She's choosing him over everyone. Over you, you mean? Over everyone? She repeats. But we both know what she really means. I finish my coffee and stand up. Thanks for the heads up, Susie. I appreciate the honesty. What are you going to do? I look down at her. This woman who has been living in the shadow of her own desires for years, and I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. I'm going to give everyone exactly what they deserve, I tell her, starting with Dominic. The thing about revenge is that it requires patience. You can't just lash out in anger. That's how you make mistakes, leave evidence, give your enemies ammunition. Real revenge is surgical. It's about finding pressure points and applying just enough force to make everything collapse. I spend the next week in observation mode, cataloging patterns and weaknesses. Dominic arrives at the gym every morning at 6 a.m. sharp, driving his pride and joy, a 2018 Camaro SS in bright yellow. The car is his baby, his statement to the world that he's successful and virile and everything a real man should be. He parks in the same spot every day, right under the security camera that's been malfunctioning for the past month. I know because I'm the one who disabled it. On Thursday morning, I arrive at the gym parking lot at 5:30 a.m. with a small bag of supplies. Sugar for the gas tank is a myth. It doesn't actually damage engines. But a handful of steel wool in the oil filler cap? That's a different story. It'll take a few days to work its way through the system, but when it does, Dominic's precious engine will seize up like a rusted lock. While I'm under the hood, I also disconnect a few key wires and loosen the alternator belt. Nothing dangerous, nothing that would cause an accident, just enough to make his life inconvenient. I'm back in my car by 5:45. Watching through binoculars as Dominic arrives for his morning workout. He doesn't even glance at his car as he walks into the gym, too focused on whatever motivational podcast is playing through his earbuds. Phase 1 complete. At work, I'm the model employee. I arrive early, stay late, and keep my head down. Miss Townsend has been watching me carefully since the Halloween party incident, looking for any excuse to write me up. But I give her nothing. I am professional, courteous, and productive. What she doesn't know is that I'm also documenting everything. Every email, every meeting, every decision that passes through our department. I'm building a comprehensive record of how Morrison Tech actually operates, and some of it would make very interesting reading for the right people. Like the fact that we've been billing the government for software licenses we don't actually own, or that Miss Townsend has been approving overtime for employees who aren't actually working overtime, or that certain performance reviews have been altered after the fact to justify promotions and raises for people who happen to be sleeping with the right executives. I'm particularly interested in Alicia's recent performance evaluations. According to the official records, she's been exceeding expectations in every category. But the original drafts, which I recovered from the backup servers, tell a different story. Her actual performance has been declining for months, with multiple complaints from other departments about missed deadlines and communication failures. Someone has been editing her reviews. Someone with administrative access to the HR system. Someone like Susie Tran. Friday afternoon, Richard stops by my cubicle with a concerned expression. "Dude, you're starting to freak people out." "How so?" "You're too calm, too focused. It's like you're plotting world domination or something." "Maybe I am." I save the document I'm working on and turn to face him. "What would you say if I told you I've discovered some irregularities in our department's performance metrics?" "I'd say that sounds like a fancy way of saying someone's been cooking the books." Hypothetically speaking, if someone were cooking the books, what would be the best way to expose it? Richard glances around nervously. Hypothetically. Anonymous tip to the corporate ethics hotline. They take that stuff seriously, especially with the new government contracts coming up. Good to know, Greg. Man, whatever you're planning, just be careful. These people aren't playing games. Neither am I. That evening, I'm working late in my office when I hear voices in the hallway. Alicia and Dominic talking in hushed tones as they head toward the conference room. I minimize my work and pull up the security camera feed. They're not alone this time. Townsend is with them, along with someone I don't recognize. A thin man in an expensive suit who screams corporate attorney. I can't hear what they're saying, but their body language tells the story. Documents are spread across the table, and they're all focused on what looks like a personnel file. My personnel file based on the photo I can make out on the cover page. They're building their case, documenting every minor infraction, every missed deadline, every sarcastic comment I've made over the years. They're constructing a narrative that will justify my termination and clear the way for Alicia's promotion. I take screenshots of everything, adding them to my growing collection of evidence. Then I open a new browser window and navigate to Morrison Tech's Corporate Ethics Hotline. The form is simple. Name optional, department optional, nature of complaint required, details required, supporting evidence optional. I leave the name field blank and begin typing. I am writing to report serious ethical violations within the IT and HR departments of Morrison Tech. Over the past several months, I have observed systematic manipulation of performance reviews, fraudulent billing practices, and conflicts of interest involving romantic relationships between employees and supervisors. I attach screenshots, financial records, and a detailed timeline of events. The submission confirmation arrives in my inbox within minutes, along with a case number and a promise of investigation within 5 business days. Phase 2 complete. Saturday morning, I'm having coffee on my back porch when I hear the unmistakable sound of a car engine dying. Through the trees, I can see the gym parking lot where Dominic is standing next to his Camaro with the hood up and steam pouring out. I can't hear what he's saying from this distance, but his gestures suggest he's not happy. He's on his phone, probably calling for a tow truck. His morning workout routine has been disrupted. His precious car is broken, and his day is ruined. It's a small victory, but I savor it like fine wine. My phone buzzes with a text from Alicia. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up." I text back. "No problem. I've got plenty to keep me busy." And I do. Tonight, I'm going to pay a visit to Dominic's apartment. Not to confront him. That would be too direct, too obvious. I'm going to plant some evidence that will make his life very complicated very soon. The beauty of being underestimated is that people don't see you coming until it's too late. Dominic Cruz lives in a trendy apartment complex called The Heights, the kind of place that charges premium rent for exposed brick walls and industrial lighting. His unit is on the 3rd floor, overlooking the community pool, where he probably flexes for admiring residents. Breaking and entering isn't my style, but I don't need to break anything. The building's security is laughably weak, a simple magnetic lock that can be bypassed with a hotel keycard and some patience. I learned the technique from a cybersecurity conference years ago, back when I still believed my job was about protecting people instead of destroying them. I wait until Tuesday evening, when I know Dominic will be occupied with Alicia at their usual motel rendezvous. The hallway is empty as I slip inside his apartment, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The place is exactly what I expected. All black leather and chrome with motivational posters on the walls and protein powder containers lining the kitchen counter. A shrine to toxic masculinity and shallow ambition. I'm not here to vandalize or steal. I'm here to plant evidence. The first item goes in his bedroom dresser, hidden among his collection of tank tops and compression shorts. It's a small bag of white powder that looks suspiciously like cocaine, but is actually protein powder mixed with baking soda. Harmless, but it'll photograph beautifully when the police find it. The second item is more sophisticated, a USB drive containing files that appear to show Dominic selling steroids to high school athletes. The files are fabricated, of course, created using publicly available photos and some creative Photoshop work, but they're convincing enough to raise serious questions. I hide the drive in his computer desk, taped to the underside of a drawer where it won't be found during a casual search, but will be discovered by anyone conducting a thorough investigation. The final touch is a burner phone purchased with cash and loaded with text messages between Dominic and various clients discussing illegal supplement sales. The messages are time-stamped over the past 3 months, creating a pattern of criminal activity. I place the phone in his gym bag, which is sitting by the front door, ready for tomorrow's workout. By the time I leave his apartment, I've been inside for less than 15 minutes, but I've laid the groundwork for his complete destruction. Wednesday morning brings the first sign that my plan is working. I'm at my desk when Richard appears with a cup of coffee and a gossip-hungry expression. "Did you hear about Dominic?" he asks, settling into the chair next to my cubicle. "What about him?" "His car got towed from the gym parking lot. Apparently, he couldn't pay the repair bill, so the shop put a lien on it." I make sympathetic noises while internally celebrating. The engine damage was more extensive than I'd hoped, requiring a complete rebuild that Dominic can't afford. His symbol of success is now sitting in a tow yard, accumulating storage fees he'll never be able to pay. "That's not even the best part," Richard continues. "Maya heard from someone in HR that he's been asking about getting hired here full-time. Apparently, his personal training business isn't doing so well." "Interesting timing," I observe, just when Alicia might be getting promoted. "Yeah, weird coincidence, right?" Richard's tone suggests he doesn't believe in coincidences any more than I do. Thursday afternoon, I receive an email that makes my day. "Your submission to the corporate ethics hotline has been reviewed and an investigation has been initiated. A representative will contact you within 48 hours to discuss your concerns." I forward the email to my personal account and delete it from the work system. Then I sit back and wait for the fireworks to begin. They start Friday morning with a knock on Miss Townsend's office door. Through the glass walls, I can see 2 people in dark suits, a man and a woman, who look like they've never smiled in their lives. Corporate investigators, here to ask uncomfortable questions about performance reviews and billing irregularities. Within an hour, the entire department is buzzing with nervous energy. People are whispering in corners, checking their emails obsessively, and avoiding eye contact with management. The word audit is being passed around like a communicable disease. Alicia looks particularly stressed, her usual confident demeanor replaced by barely controlled panic. She keeps glancing at her phone, probably trying to reach Dominic for moral support. But Dominic has problems of his own. At exactly 2:17 p.m., my phone rings. Unknown number, but I recognize the area code. Mr. Harper, this is Detective Sarah Martinez with the Metro Police Department. We need to ask you some questions about Dominic Cruz. I feign confusion. Dominic? Is he okay? We're investigating allegations of illegal steroid distribution. Your name came up in our inquiry as someone who might have information about Mr. Cruz's activities. I'm not sure how I can help. I barely know the man. We understand you had an altercation with him at a company party last week. Hardly an altercation. More like a disagreement about comic book characters. Why? Mr. Cruz claims you've been harassing him, vandalizing his property, following him around. He seems to think you have some kind of vendetta against him. I let genuine surprise color my voice. That's ridiculous. I've been focused on work and family. If Dominic is having problems, he should look at his own choices instead of blaming other people. We found some concerning items in his apartment during a search yesterday. Illegal substances, evidence of drug trafficking. Mr. Cruz claims someone planted the evidence to frame him. That sounds like something a guilty person would say. Maybe. We'll be in touch if we need anything else, Mr. Harper. Have a good day. I hang up the phone and allow myself a small smile. Dominic is panicking, making accusations he can't prove, digging himself deeper with every desperate lie. The police found exactly what I wanted them to find, and his protests of innocence only make him look more guilty. The afternoon brings another gift. Alicia storms out of Miss Townsend's office, looking like she's been slapped. Her face is red, her hands are shaking, and she's clutching a manila folder like it contains her death warrant. She walks straight to her desk, grabs her purse and car keys, and heads for the elevator without saying a word to anyone. Through the office grapevine, I learned that she's been suspended, pending the outcome of the ethics investigation. Her doctored performance reviews have been discovered, along with evidence of her relationship with Dominic and the conflicts of interest it created. By 5 o'clock, the office is buzzing with rumors and speculation. Some people are sympathetic to Alicia, convinced she's being scapegoated. Others are less charitable, whispering about karma and chickens coming home to roost. I pack up my desk with the satisfaction of a job well done. Phase 3 is complete, and the dominoes are falling exactly as I planned. Dominic is facing criminal charges. Alicia is suspended from work, and their perfect little affair is crumbling under the weight of reality. But I'm not done yet. The best is still to come. The corporate ethics investigation moves faster than I expected. By Monday morning, 3 more people have been suspended, including Susie Tran. The investigators have uncovered a web of fraudulent performance reviews, inflated billing records, and conflicts of interest that goes back years. Miss Townsend calls an emergency department meeting at 9 a.m. sharp. She looks like she's aged a decade over the weekend, her usual iron composure replaced by barely controlled desperation. "I'm sure you've all heard the rumors," she begins, her voice tight with stress. "I want to assure everyone that these allegations are being taken seriously and investigated thoroughly. Anyone found to have violated company policy will face appropriate consequences." Richard raises his hand. "What about the Henderson project? Are we still on track for the deadline?" "The project is proceeding as planned," Miss Townsend replies, though her tone suggests otherwise. "Mr. Harper will be taking over coordination duties until further notice." I nod professionally, hiding my satisfaction. Alicia's suspension has created a power vacuum, and I'm being positioned to fill it. The irony is delicious. Their plan to get me fired has resulted in my promotion. After the meeting, I'm approached by one of the corporate investigators, the stern-faced woman I saw on Friday. "Mr. Harper, I'm Janet Walsh from Corporate Compliance. Could we speak privately? Of course. She leads me to an empty conference room and closes the door. I understand you've been with the company for 8 years. That's correct. And you've never had any performance issues, no disciplinary actions, no complaints. None that I'm aware of. She consults her tablet. That's interesting, because we found several draft performance reviews that paint a very different picture. Reviews that were significantly altered before being submitted to HRR. I lean forward with apparent concern. Altered how? Critical comments removed, scores inflated. Recommendations changed from needs improvement to exceeds expectations. Someone has been systematically manipulating your evaluations. That's disturbing. Do you know who? We have our suspicions. The question is, did you know this was happening? I shake my head. I had no idea. I mean, I always wondered why my review seemed so positive when my relationship with management was clearly strained, but I assumed I was being paranoid. You weren't being paranoid, Mr. Harper. Someone was protecting you, and we think we know why. She shows me her tablet screen, which displays a series of emails between Alicia and Susie. It appears your wife and Ms. Tran were planning to build a case for wrongful termination. They needed documentation of unfair treatment and biased evaluations. The emails are real. I know because I wrote them myself using admin access to create a false paper trail. But Janet Walsh doesn't need to know that they were going to get me fired and then sue the company. That appears to be the plan. Create a hostile work environment, document it through manipulated reviews, then claim discrimination when you were terminated. I sit back in my chair, letting shock and betrayal play across my face. My own wife was plotting against me. I'm sorry, Mr. Harper. I know this must be difficult. It explains a lot, actually. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the way she's been treating me at home. I pause as if considering something. There's something else you should know. What's that? Alicia has been having an affair with Dominic Cruz. I have evidence if you need it. Janet Walsh makes a note on her tablet. That would be very helpful. Workplace relationships aren't necessarily against policy, but failure to disclose them is, especially when they create conflicts of interest. I provide her with selected screenshots and documents, carefully edited to show Alicia and Dominic's relationship, without revealing how I obtained the information. She takes everything with professional gratitude and promises to keep me informed of any developments. Tuesday brings news that Dominic has been arrested. The charges include possession of controlled substances, distribution of illegal steroids, and operating an unlicensed business. The local news picks up the story, running a sensational piece about a fitness trainer to the stars who is allegedly selling dangerous drugs to teenagers. Alicia calls me at work, her voice thick with tears and desperation. Greg, you have to help me, she pleads. They're saying I'm going to be fired. They think I was part of some conspiracy. Were you? Of course not. This is all a misunderstanding. Someone is setting me up. Who would do that? I don't know. Maybe Susie? Maybe Miss Townsend? Maybe someone who wants my job. The irony is almost too much to bear. She's absolutely right. Someone is setting her up. Someone who wants her job and her life and everything she took for granted. What do you want me to do, Alicia? Talk to them. Tell them I'm innocent. You're my husband. They'll listen to you. Like you listened to me when I tried to talk about our marriage? Silence on the other end of the line. Greg, please. I know things haven't been perfect between us, but we can work it out. We can go to counseling, take a vacation, whatever you want. What I want, I tell her, is the truth about Dominic, about the affair, about the plan to get me fired. I don't know what you're talking about. Room 237 at the Riverside Motel every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months. Should I go on? The silence stretches so long I think she's hung up. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, How long have you known? Long enough. Greg, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I was lonely and confused, and Dominic made me feel special. But it's over now. He's in jail, and I just want to come home. Home, I repeat. Interesting choice of words. Is that what you call the place you've been systematically betraying for months? Please don't do this. Not now. I need you. You needed me 6 months ago when you were deciding whether to sleep with your trainer. You needed me 3 months ago when you were planning to destroy my career. You don't get to need me now that your world is falling apart. I hang up before she can respond. Wednesday morning brings a knock at my front door. It's Susie, looking haggarded and desperate. Her usually perfect appearance is disheveled, and there are dark circles under her eyes. We need to talk, she says. I thought we already did that. Not about Alicia, about what you're doing. I step aside to let her in. What am I doing, Susie? You're destroying people systematically, methodically, like some kind of revenge algorithm. That's a colorful metaphor. Dominic's in jail facing felony charges. Alicia's career is ruined. I'm probably going to be fired and blacklisted from the industry. And you're behind all of it. I don't know how, but I know it's you. I pour myself a cup of coffee and offer her one, which she declines. You're giving me a lot of credit, Susie. I'm just an IT guy who fixes printers and resets passwords. You're a lot smarter than people think, and a lot more dangerous. Dangerous? I laugh. I'm the most harmless person you'll ever meet. Ask anyone. Then explain how Dominic ended up with drugs in his apartment that he swears he's never seen before. Maybe he's lying. And the fake text messages on a phone that isn't registered to him. Maybe he's stupid. And the performance review manipulation that perfectly sets up a wrongful termination lawsuit. Maybe he's unlucky. She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see the exact instant when she realizes the truth. Her face goes pale, and her hands start to shake. You planned all of this from the beginning. The Halloween party, the investigation, everything. I planned to find out who my real friends were. I tell her the rest just fell into place. Alicia loves you, Greg. She made a mistake, but she loves you. Alicia loves the idea of me, the stable husband, the steady income, the respectable life, but she doesn't love me enough to be faithful, and she doesn't respect me enough to be honest. So, you're going to destroy her? I'm going to give her exactly what she deserves, just like I'm giving Dominic what he deserves. Just like I'm giving you what you deserve. Susie stands up abruptly. You're sick. You need help. What I need, I tell her, is for people to stop underestimating me. She heads for the door, then turns back. This isn't over, Greg. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. Thursday evening, I'm in my home office when I hear a car door slam in the driveway. Through the window, I see Alicia getting out of a taxi, her face set in grim determination. She's been staying at a hotel since her suspension, but apparently she's decided to come home and fight. I save my work and close my laptop. This conversation has been inevitable since the moment I found those first security camera images. Everything that's happened since has been leading to this confrontation. She doesn't knock. The front door opens and closes with deliberate force, and I can hear her heels clicking across the hardwood floor as she searches the house for me. Greg. Her voice echoes through the rooms. I know you're here. We need to talk. I wait in my office, letting her come to me. When she appears in the doorway, she looks like a different person from the confident woman who humiliated me at the Halloween party. Her hair is disheveled, her makeup is smeared, and there's a wild desperation in her eyes. There you are. She steps into the room and closes the door behind her, hiding in your little cave, playing with your computers. I prefer to think of it as my command center. Very funny. You always were good with the jokes. She moves closer to my desk, and I can smell alcohol on her breath. But I'm not laughing anymore, Greg. I know what you've been doing. What have I been doing? Don't play dumb. You've been systematically destroying my life. Dominic's arrest, the ethics investigation, my suspension. It's all connected, and you're the connection. I lean back in my chair and study her face. You're giving me an awful lot of credit. Cut the Greg. I've had 3 days to think about this, and it all points back to you. The timing is too perfect. The evidence too convenient. Evidence of what? Evidence of crimes that Dominic didn't commit. Evidence of ethical violations that were carefully orchestrated. Evidence that appeared exactly when it would do the most damage. She's not wrong, but she can't prove anything. The beauty of a well-executed plan is that it looks like coincidence to everyone except the targets. Let's say you're right, I tell her. Let's say I somehow orchestrated this whole thing. The question is, why would I do that? Because you found out about the affair. When did I find out? She hesitates, trying to calculate how much I know. Recently? Try again. I don't know. A few weeks ago. Wrong. I've known for months, Alicia. I've known about the motel rooms, the fake gym sessions, the after-hours meetings in the conference room. I've known about your plan to get me fired and your scheme to manipulate my performance reviews. Her face goes white. That's impossible. Is it? I work in it, remember? I have access to every system, every camera, every digital footprint in the company. Did you really think you could hide from me in the digital age? I turn my laptop around so she can see the screen. It's displaying a folder labeled Alicia's Adventures, containing hundreds of photos, videos, emails, and documents that chronicle her betrayal in excruciating detail. Jesus Christ, she whispers, sinking into the chair across from my desk. He's got nothing to do with this. This is just good old-fashioned human nature. Greed, lust, betrayal. The classics never go out of style. How long have you been planning this? Planning what? Your downfall? I didn't plan anything, Alicia. I just documented what was already happening and waited for the right moment to let the truth come out. You planted evidence. You framed Dominic. Did I? Or did I simply create a situation where his existing crimes would be discovered? What existing crimes? I open another folder on my laptop. Unlicensed personal training, tax evasion, sales of unregulated supplements. Dominic was already breaking the law. I just made sure the right people found out about it. She stares at the evidence, her mouth hanging open. You're insane. I'm thorough. There's a difference. What do you want, Greg? Money? A divorce? What's it going to take to end this? End it? I laugh, and the sound is cold, even to my own ears. Alicia, this isn't something that ends. This is something that is. You betrayed me. You conspired against me. You tried to destroy my career and steal my life. There are consequences for that. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices over multiple months. Every time you met Dominic at that motel, every time you lied about working late, every time you and Susie laughed about what a pathetic husband I was, those were all choices. Tears start streaming down her face, but I feel nothing. The man who would have been moved by her tears died months ago, killed by 1,000 small betrayals and casual cruelties. Please, she whispers. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. We'll move away. Start over somewhere new. With what money? You're about to be fired for cause, which means no severance package, no unemployment benefits, no references for future employment. Your career in HR is over. Then I'll do something else. I'll go back to school, learn a new trade. With what money, I repeat? Our joint accounts have been frozen pending the investigation into your fraudulent activities. The house is in my name because you wanted to avoid the tax implications of joint ownership. Your car is leased through the company, which means it's going to be repossessed any day now. The color drains from her face as she realizes the full scope of her situation. You've trapped me. I've revealed you, there's a difference. My phone buzzes with a text message. I glance at the screen and smile. What? She asks. Dominic just made bail. Apparently his lawyer thinks he can beat the charges if he cooperates with the prosecution. Cooperates how? By testifying about the performance review manipulation scheme, by providing evidence of the conspiracy to commit fraud against Morrison Tech, by throwing you and Susie under the bus to save his own skin. She stands up abruptly, pacing to the window and back. He wouldn't do that. He already has. 20 minutes ago, he signed a cooperation agreement with the district attorney's office. In exchange for reduced charges, he's going to testify that you and Susie recruited him to help frame me for poor performance so you could justify my termination and sue the company. That's not what happened, isn't it? You manipulated my reviews to create a pattern of unfair treatment. You documented every interaction to build a case for hostile work environment. You were planning to get me fired and then claim wrongful termination. We were trying to protect you from what? From Miss Townsend. She wanted you gone, and we were trying to build a case to stop her. It's a reasonable lie, but it's still a lie. I have the emails, the text messages, the recorded conversations that prove otherwise. Alicia and Susie weren't trying to protect me. They were trying to profit from my destruction. The jury will decide who to believe. I tell her, your word against Dominic's, with a mountain of evidence showing your affair and your conspiracy to commit fraud. She collapses back into the chair, her head in her hands. What happens now? Now you face the consequences of your choices. Criminal charges for fraud, civil liability for the damages to Morrison Tech, professional disgrace that will follow you for the rest of your career. And us? What happens to our marriage? I look at her, really look at her for the first time in months. She's still beautiful, still the woman I fell in love with 8 years ago, but she's also a stranger, someone who is capable of betraying everything we built together for the sake of a few stolen hours with a muscle-bound trainer. There is no us, Elisa. There hasn't been for a long time. I just finally stopped pretending otherwise. She looks up at me with red-rimmed eyes. I loved you, Craig. I still love you. No, you don't. You love the security I provided, the stability, the comfortable life, but you don't love me. If you did, none of this would have happened. People make mistakes. People make choices, I interrupt. And choices have consequences. You chose Dominic over me, excitement over stability, betrayal over loyalty. Now you get to live with the results. She sits in silence for a long moment, and I can see her processing the full scope of her situation. No job, no money, no future prospects, and criminal charges pending. The life she took for granted has been systematically dismantled piece by piece. You're not the man I married, she says finally. You're right. The man you married was naive enough to trust you, weak enough to let you walk all over him, stupid enough to believe that love and loyalty mattered more than lust and ambition. And now? Now I'm someone who understands that respect is earned, not given. That trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. That sometimes the only way to win is to make sure your enemies lose everything. I stand up and walk to the door. You should go, Alicia. Pack whatever you need and find somewhere else to stay. The locks will be changed tomorrow morning. This is my house too. Check the deed. It's in my name only, remember? Your idea for tax purposes. She follows me to the front door, desperation making her voice shrill. You can't just throw me out. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent, I tell her, opening the door. I'd suggest you exercise it. Anything you say now will probably be used against you in court." She stares at me for a moment, and I can see her trying to find some trace of the man she married. But that man is gone, replaced by someone harder, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. "I hate you," she whispers. "I know," I reply, "but I don't care." She walks out into the night, and I close the door behind her. Through the window, I watch her get into another taxi and disappear into the darkness. Then I return to my office, open my laptop, and begin typing the final chapter of my revenge. Tomorrow, the last pieces will fall into place. Tomorrow, everyone will understand exactly what happens when you underestimate Greg Harper. But tonight, for the first time in months, I sleep peacefully. Epilogue. The New Normal. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the executive conference room at Morrison Tech, reviewing quarterly reports as the new director of information technology. The promotion came with a 40% salary increase, stock options, and my own corner office with a view of the city. The ethics investigation concluded with criminal charges against Alicia, Susie, and 3 other employees. Miss Townsend was quietly forced into early retirement, and the entire HR department was restructured under new leadership. The company settled the government contract dispute for a fraction of what it could have cost, thanks to the comprehensive documentation I provided of the fraudulent billing practices. Dominic Cruz pleaded guilty to reduced charges and received 2 years probation plus community service. His cooperation with the prosecution helped convict Alicia and Susie of conspiracy to commit fraud, though he'll never work in the fitness industry again. Last I heard, he was selling insurance and living in a studio apartment across town. Susie got the harshest sentence, 3 years in federal prison for her role in the conspiracy and her attempts to obstruct the investigation. She made the mistake of trying to destroy evidence after she realized what was happening, which turned a white-collar crime into a felony obstruction charge. Alicia served 18 months in minimum security prison and was released last month. She's living with her mother in Ohio, working at a call center and trying to rebuild her life. The divorce was finalized while she was incarcerated, with me keeping the house, the cars, and most of our assets. She kept her student loan debt and her criminal record. Richard still works in the IT department, though he's been promoted to senior systems analyst. We have lunch every Friday, and he's never asked me directly about my role in the events that transformed our workplace. He's too smart for that, and too loyal. Some questions are better left unasked. The company is thriving under new leadership. The government contracts came through, bringing in millions in revenue and dozens of new jobs. The toxic culture that allowed the fraud to flourish has been replaced by strict oversight and ethical guidelines. I helped design the new monitoring systems that ensure nothing like this can happen again. I've been dating a woman named Jennifer, a teacher I met at a coffee shop downtown. She's nothing like Alicia. Quiet where Alicia was loud. Honest where Alicia was deceptive. Loyal where Alicia was faithless. We take things slowly, building trust brick by brick instead of assuming it exists. She knows about my divorce, but not about the details. She knows I work in technology, but not about my particular skills. She knows I'm careful about trust, but not about why. Some stories are better left untold, at least for now. People at work treat me differently now. There's a weariness in their interactions, a recognition that I'm not the harmless IT guy they once knew. They're polite, professional, and very careful never to cross me. It's amazing how quickly respect follows fear. I've kept all the evidence from my investigation, stored on encrypted drives in a safety deposit box across town. Insurance in case anyone ever decides to question the official version of events. The truth has a way of protecting itself when properly documented. Sometimes, late at night in my home office, I think about the man I used to be. The trusting husband, the loyal employee, the guy who believed that doing the right thing would be rewarded, and that love conquered all. That man was weak, naive, and ultimately expendable. The man I am now understands that the world is not fair, that justice is not automatic, and that sometimes you have to create your own happy ending. He knows that information is power, that patience is a weapon, and that the best revenge is not just getting even, it's winning completely. I don't miss the man I used to be. He was a victim waiting to happen, a mark in a world full of predators. The man I am now is neither victim nor predator. He's something more dangerous. He's someone who learned the rules of the game and decided to play by his own. My phone buzzes with a text from Jennifer. "Dinner at 7 o'clock. I'm making that pasta you like." I text back, "Wouldn't miss it. See you soon." I pack up my laptop and head for the elevator, nodding to colleagues who step aside to let me pass. The corner office with my name on the door gleams in the afternoon sunlight, a monument to what happens when people underestimate the quiet guy in it. Outside, the city spreads before me like a chessboard, full of players who think they understand the game. But I've learned something that most of them never will. The most dangerous opponent is the one who looks harmless, sounds reasonable, and strikes only when victory is assured. I drive home through streets that once seemed hostile and uncertain, but now feel like territory I've conquered and claimed. Every traffic light, every turn, every familiar landmark is part of a world I've reshaped to my specifications. At home, I change out of my executive suit and into comfortable clothes. In the kitchen, I pour myself a glass of wine and stand at the window, looking out at the neighborhood where I've built my new life on the ruins of my old one. The doorbell rings at exactly 7 o'clock. Jennifer stands on my doorstep with a bottle of wine and a smile that contains no hidden agendas, no secret betrayals, no carefully planned deceptions. "How is your day?" she asks, kissing me on the cheek. "Productive," I tell her. "Very productive." We have dinner on the back patio, talking about her students and my projects, about weekend plans and summer vacations. Normal conversation between two people who've chosen to trust each other with the small daily intimacies that make up a life. Later, as she's getting ready to leave, Jennifer pauses at the front door. "Greg, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Sometimes I get the feeling there's more to your story than you've told me. Your divorce, your work, the way people react to you. I'm not asking for details, but I want you to know that whatever happened before we met, it doesn't matter to me." I look into her eyes and see something I thought I'd lost forever. Genuine care without calculation, affection without agenda. "Thank you," I tell her. "That means more than you know. I care about who you are now, not who you used to be." After she leaves, I lock the door and set the security system. Then I return to my office and open my laptop, reviewing the day's work and planning tomorrow's projects. The quarterly reports need to be finished, the new security protocols need to be implemented, and there's a conference call with the government contractors at 9 a.m. Normal work for a normal executive in a normal company. Nothing to suggest that the man typing these reports once orchestrated the systematic destruction of 3 people's lives with the precision of a master chess player. I close the laptop and turn off the lights, satisfied with the day's accomplishments. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities, new games to play and win. As I head upstairs to bed, I catch my reflection in the hallway mirror. The face looking back at me is older, harder, more confident than the man who attended that Halloween party 6 months ago. The eyes are the same, but there's something different behind them. A knowledge that can't be unlearned, a power that can't be ungained. I am not the man I used to be, and I never will be again. That man was destroyed by betrayal and rebuilt by revenge into something stronger, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. And I wouldn't have it any other way. The 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 other way.